looked up at the sky and thought about how big the world is? Or been at the beach and looked at the ocean and thought about how crazy it is that God created this enormous body of water that has waves and animals living in it? Or maybe you sat in the forest and looked up at the beautiful trees that God created and sat amazed at how a powerful God that can create all of this loves you. Or maybe nature isn't your thing, and maybe you're more of a book person. Maybe you've read a passage in the Bible and God spoke to you and you felt God's spirit and his love as you read his words. From the Bible, you've learned maybe an amazing characteristic or aspect of who God is simply by reading his word. As I was reading our psalm today, Psalm 19, I noticed how in the beginning of the psalm, David talks about seeing God in the world. He talks about seeing his power and how the sun gives heat, the happiness of a groom after his wedding, the excitement of an athlete getting ready to compete. He sees God in the world around him. Then David talks about how when he reads the law, the Bible, he learns about how God is trustworthy and pure and true. He sees God in the Bible. Then in verse 12, he looks at himself. He sees the sin in his life, and I get the sense that he asks the question, do I see God in my life? Is he in my actions, in my thoughts, the words that I say, the way I treat others? Is God seen in my life? I find this so interesting because I think oftentimes we look for God in nature or in the Bible. We look for him in the lives of others. We search for God, but we don't look at how we are living God's love in our own life. Way back in Genesis, when humans were created, God created us in his image to show the world what God is like. We can look all over for who God is, but God has chosen you to be his reflection in the world. You know, David ends Psalm 19 with these words. He says, "May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." My prayer is that our lives, our thoughts, our actions, our words would be a reflection of who God is. And that reflection will be pleasing to him.